We really appreciate your taking out the time and joining us today. I understand you are here because your answer must have been a yes to one of these questions. And if it is so, then you are at the right place at the right time, because we have Dr. Nupur Agarwal joining us from London, UK, live to help us understand how getting in touch with our feelings can really help in healing. One of my teachers used to say, that fully feeling your feeling is very healing. And most of the times our lives have become so mechanical that we ride roughshod over our feelings and we don't pay attention to them, or we get entangled with them, and we lose the power which is there in the, that emotions and feelings have in guiding us. And we have an excellent speaker, Dr. Nupur Agarwal, with us. She is one of the most popular speakers on the Mindful Living platform. She is a medical doctor who has transitioned into mind-body medicine, working actively with the hospitals in NHS, working with the surgeons, with the patients, with the paramedical staff, doing a lot of work and research. And her research has been published and has won award. So very high quality work being done by her, and she is a trainer, coach, and a Reiki master. Welcome, Dr. Nupur, to the session today.
Thank you, Ashish, and thanks to everybody for being here. Looking forward to a lovely session of interaction with all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Nupur. We is a practice in mindful living. We stay away from politics and religion, so we are not going to quiz Dr. Nupur on what's happening in UK, but we will definitely like to hear from her on how getting in touch with our feelings can help us. But before that, I'll take a minute to introduce myself. How many of you are joining the session, mindful living session, for the first time? Please type FT for first time if you're joining the session for the first time, if you're joining a mindful living session for the first time. Thank you, Sylvia. Anybody else? Thank you, Neelam. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Bandhanam. So friends, I'll take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Ashish Kumar and I am the founder of Mindful Living. I started Mindful Living in 2018. Prior to that, I worked in the corporate sector for over 25 years in senior management roles with organizations like Tata Group, Future Group, HCL, and Daba Group. I started Mindful Living in 2018 with a vision to help 1 million working professionals lead healthier, happier, and wealthier lives. Because during the years of my working in the corporate sector, I saw how stressed the employees in the corporate sector are and the toll that stress is taking on their health, happiness, and financial well-being. We regularly work with the best corporates in India, training their employees on the issues that I just mentioned, how to deal with stress, how to be mindful so that you can improve your relationships in work and in personal life, and how to take your performance to the next level, to the peak performance level. So that's the work we do. We have over 50 blue chip clients, and we have trained over 10,000 employees in over 300 sessions in the corporate sector. The session today is being organized as a part of the community initiative of Mindful Living, which we started at the onset of COVID in April 2020, when a few of my friends reached out to me and requested me to conduct sessions for them to help them deal with the anxiety and depression that the lockdown was causing. And one thing led to the other. Today, we have become a group of over 3,000 people who connect on weekends to learn about practical aspects of mindfulness. In case you would like to be part of our vibrant community, please click on the link that we are sharing in the chat and join our Mindful Living community. The sessions that we do on Saturday are complimentary, and we have no agenda other than your happiness, health, good health, and well-being. So on that note, I'll invite Dr. Nupur to take the session forward.
Thank you, Ashish. It's really wonderful to be here talking about a topic I'm very passionate about, and a topic that I've had the privilege of impacting and touching many lives, going through a lot of challenges in their life. If I can start by asking the participants, you have taken your precious time out on a Saturday evening in India. Some of us are logging in from London, including me. What has led you to come here? So it'd be nice to understand what resonated with you. What do you understand by this topic? What are you seeking from this? So you may wish to write it in the chat. You want to unmute yourselves and speak. Whatever you wish to. It'd be really nice for me to understand the mindset of the audience today. So anybody wants to write it in the chat, put it on the chat, or just unmute themselves and speak. You can put your hands up. We will take the Q&A towards the end, but just to kick off this session, just to get a sense of what you want to. Yes, please unmute yourself, Suvya.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Well, I have recently been exposed to this concept of healing, spirituality, right? And I am just enjoying this new learning. I feel it's a magical world without any logic. So I'm looking forward to exploring this world more. I have recently started getting a lot of, I would say, positive effects of healing, and I'm enjoying that. I'm acknowledging that. I am grateful to the universe for this. So any opportunity which comes my way where I can learn something more, I'm taking advantage of that.
Amazing. That's such a wonderful thing to hear, that you're so open and inquisitive. And I think on this journey of wellness, those are the most important prerequisites of, just understanding the space. So thank you, Sylvia, for sharing that. And I will be reading the comments in the due course. But let me begin by sharing my screen. Right, okay. And beginning the session today by one of my favorite quotes by one of my teachers. So is it visible? Ashish, can you give me a thumbs up if my screen is visible and if I'm audible? All right, thank you so much. So just requesting all of you to focus on this wonderful quote by Anita Moorjani. She's the author of a wonderful book called Dying to Be Me. She is a survivor of stage 4 cancer, and she is in remission, and she went completely in remission after her near-death experience. And I'm privileged to be saying that I've trained with her, and she's been one of my teachers in this mind-body medicine space. And she says that one of the biggest lessons I learned from nearly dying of cancer is the importance of loving myself unconditionally. In fact, learning to love and accept myself unconditionally is what healed me and brought me back from the brink of death. And today we are going to be talking about the impact of emotions, feelings, thoughts on our well-being and on our diseases. So what I want us to all understand is really, really soak in this message. And a lot of times, we are kind of almost mocked upon, for being emotional. In our society, we are called emotional fools. Nobody talks about emotionally intelligent. So, I'm here to slightly break certain myths and start us to think very differently when we approach our diseases, our chronic health challenges, something as dire and as difficult sounding as cancer. It's almost the C word has kind of become one of the most, feared words. So I'm here to slightly shift your perceptions and to open yourself to a whole world of self-empowerment. And that's my intention from the session today. So understanding what are emotions? Emotions are actually emotions, as the word suggests. It's nothing but energy in motion. So the problems that we understand now is when the flow of these emotions gets somehow disturbed. When the flow of these emotions is not happening, when the emotions, instead of being felt, experienced, and expressed, are being suppressed. So a lot of times now we are understanding that a huge burden of the diseases that are happening in the body, chronic health conditions, is not just imbalance at the physical level. But a lot of times what's causing this imbalance is the emotions and the thoughts and the traumas that the body is experiencing, because that the individual is either not understanding how to process these emotions, how to process the traumas, and instead of expressing, because a lot of times our society doesn't allow us or doesn't teach us the ways of expressing emotions, we tend to repress them and suppress them. And that's what causes a lot of our discomfort. A lot of studies are being done in survivors of trauma, and a condition which you may have heard very commonly is post-traumatic stress disorder. It's called PTSD. Now, in the beginning, it was seen to be something that is more from the war veterans, the soldiers, post-war, exhibiting signs of trauma because they have gone through such a very physically, emotionally, and psychologically disturbing situations in wars, in war zones. But now we understand that PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorders are not just about very intense traumatic incidents like accidents or war. It's also some day-to-day traumas that individuals experience. It could be a trauma of a child feeling ashamed when the teacher exposes her or him in the classroom for not doing their homework, for shaming them for being a certain way, or for an individual in life, you know, when they have felt humiliated. Each to their own, and whatever means trauma to one person may not mean traumatic to the other person. But these traumas get stored in the body, right? And they get, so we have a response in the body which is called a fight, flight, or freeze response. It's a response of autonomic nervous system that helps us to get through challenges, through difficult situations. I'm not going to go too much into details. If you wish to understand more about that, you can listen to some other videos that we have done, some other webinars that we have done on mindful living, on mind, body, medicine, and alchemy of healing. But understand that just as we have fight, flight, we also have freeze response. And a lot of times these emotions get frozen in our energy system, right? And that's what manifests as diseases, as disturbances. Now understand the spiral effect. Now the left-hand side is a spiral of positive emotions. And the right-hand side is a spiral down of challenging emotions. Without even our awareness, a lot of times the emotions tend to go down and make us feel very down, low vibration. They take out the life force energy. So if we talk about the life force energy or the prana that we all feel, and a lot of times for no reason, we just feel very low. We're not able to function. We're not able to perform. And we don't know what's going wrong. It's actually because a lot of times we are vibrating at a frequency of low emotions, which could be starting from worry, blame, disappointment, anger, revenge, and it goes all the way down. So understand that these emotions have a spiraling effect. Just the way we can feel a downward spiral with emotions, we can also feel an upward spiral. So today's talk will be somewhere about understanding these emotions and what are we meaning when we're talking about vibrations, and how are these emotions getting logged in our body, and how are they manifesting in diseases. Now, this is a very powerful study that was done. It was a Finnish study from Finland, where researchers studied close to 700 participants, if I'm not wrong. And what they were trying to map here in the study was where in the body the emotions are felt for individuals. Now, it's a very common saying in our society that we say that, you know, I could feel the butterflies in my stomach when I was going to give that interview or that exams. My heart was beating very rapidly. I almost skipped a heartbeat. I was paralyzed with fear. My knees almost gave in. I could feel the fear in my spine. It was spine chilling. So it's a common parlance, and we all know that we experience emotions in the body. A lot of times, sometimes somebody, when they are feeling intense rage, anger, their heartbeat goes really up. They can feel the palpitations. That's what the clinical word for heart racing, palpitations. We can feel when we are going to give a presentation sometimes, or when we are doing a public speaking, We have dry mouth, right? Our mouth dries up, our hands become clammy, that they're wet, they're cold. We almost feel that we are unable to speak sometimes because of the fear, really paralyzing us. Or sometimes we feel it in our knees, they tend to lock, we can't move, paralyzed with fear, as we say it. So the body actually feels the emotions very intensely, and we all experience that. Now, the problem is that we don't realize that this is not just momentary. The emotions get stored and logged in the body. Now, this study actually did that to exhibit the extent to which the participants were feeling the emotions, and a whole variety, it's a whole palette of emotions that they were feeling, and the places in the body where they were feeling that they were getting locked in the body, right? So anger, you can see the way in which anger, fear, disgust, even happiness is felt. And this is a very powerful research that is telling us, and I've given the link to the study for anybody who wants to go through it, that there are certain areas of activation in the body and there are certain areas of deactivation in the body. It's almost like if you look at this diagram, at this picture, we have certain areas which are in blue. Now, those are the areas of deactivation where you feel nothing. You feel almost as you've lost the life force energy in the body. Sadness, depression, those areas where you feel completely helpless and there is no energy in the body. And there are areas where we feel intensely when there are intense emotions, and those areas are locking these emotions and getting activated. In fact, this is one study, but there are many more. The work of Louise Hay, excuse me, Louise Hay has done a lot of work on understanding the way the emotions are logged in the body. And there is a very beautiful book by her. It's called You Can Heal Your Life. So if anybody wants to know more about this, you can really read her book. And she talks about, she's given a chart of where the various emotions in the body are getting logged. In my work as a mind-body medicine specialist, some of the key emotions that I have worked with, and I have seen my patients and my clients releasing them when we are releasing it from their disease, are these: anger, rage, fear, guilt, shame, bitterness, resentment, hatred, and inability to forgive. Now, this list doesn't end here, but in my experience, I have worked most intensely with these emotions. And these are some of the key emotions that we have even some literature telling us that when we have diseases, when we develop certain chronic life health challenges, and that's when and these were the individuals who were very, very conscious of their health. They were eating healthy salads, they were juicing their vegetables, they were very much in sync with doing a gym, they were running, they were going for their yoga classes, but still they were surprised and shocked beyond belief when they were diagnosed with certain very dire health challenges, which almost brought them to a screeching halt in their life. Because health is one aspect that if you are not well, no matter who you are, you could be the CEO of the company, you could be running the country, but if you are not feeling well, and we have seen that through pandemic, your life comes to a screeching halt, right? And unfortunately, we wait for that to happen. But my intention is for us to understand that we can do a lot to influence our well-being by recognizing much early on that what am I feeling? What am I going through? What are the emotions and energies that I feel I have kind of suppressed and repressed in my body? Because if any of these resonate with you, then know that they are doing a lot more harm, not just at the conscious level, but also at the subconscious and the physical level, right? And most common manifestations of these emotions are pain, chronic pain that has actually, a lot of times you may have come across the word idiopathic. Now, idiopathic in medical parlance means that something that does not have a reason to it. A lot of times doctors say that this problem is because of your stress. So manage your stress, manage your life, and you'll be fine. They will give you certain medicines, But beyond that, nothing can be done. And people have lived, there is almost a opioid crisis in the Western world. Opioids are the substances that are prescribed to manage pain, antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications. So it's something that we feel that when we are outsourcing our well-being, that, you know, certain medical medicines will help us. I am not saying medicines are bad. We definitely need them, but there is so much more that you can do, because when you take charge of your well-being, when you take charge of your emotional health, you understand that you can impact yourselves. And this is the space in which I have worked. These are the most common manifestations that I have seen in my work. I've been working in this space for the last 5 to 7 years, doing a lot of work in cancer care and in many other health challenges, irritable bowel syndrome, endocrine imbalances, gastritis, digestive disorders, liver challenges, cardiovascular conditions, hypertension, strokes, cardiac challenges, acute myocardial infarctions. You know, these are the pain. In fact, if I can mention here, very recently, there was a very, very sad shooting that happened in a school in Texas in the US. And a lot of children lost their lives, and there were 2 teachers who also died in that situation. And for one of those teachers who had passed away, her husband actually passed away with sadness and pain in the same week, because he could not take the trauma of having lost her so suddenly. So he died of heartbreak. Now, it's something that we hear in the news, but we don't understand that actually our sadness, our pain can kill us. It can create cardiac arrests in individuals. So it's important for us to understand that our emotions are very important for us to understand, to heal. A lot of times I've worked very intensely with patients with frozen shoulder, with tumors and cysts in their ovaries, in the uterus. And we don't understand. A lot of times nobody knows what has caused a frozen shoulder. We go for physiotherapy, which is great. We take the medicine, which is amazing. We must do that. But please understand that a lot of times when we coming from a personality that is very rigid, a personality that can't see somebody else's point of view, a personality that holds on to bitterness, resentments, cannot forgive people, cannot let go. That's a lot of times when we see problems in joints, rigidity, inflexibility. Those are the times when we see frozen shoulders, right? And a lot of times also in tumors in the body. Problems sleeping, allergy, autoimmune conditions, and diabetes, right? So these are a lot of areas where I have seen immense relief for people once they start understanding that their emotions, their thoughts, their fears are paralyzing and creating these imbalances. So we don't give up on the medical treatment. We don't give up on any treatment, whether it's medical or surgical, but understand that you have to integrate this mind, body, emotional space also in your healing to really benefit yourself. And this is, again, something which I really want us to all understand. This is a very powerful book by Dr. David R. Hawkins. It's called Power versus Force. And he talks about the emotions and the vibrations and the level of consciousness. A lot of times these emotions that we feel, but we don't express, these emotions that we suppress or kind of, freeze in our body, have a vibrational frequency to them. And the lower rung of these emotions make us feel contracted, right? Shame, guilt, fear, they have a very deep impact. And now Dr. David R. Hawkins was one of the first pioneers who recorded the vibrations of these emotions. So each of these emotions have a vibrational scale to them, right? And the other emotions, as we understand that we need to go beyond these vibrations, the positive emotions of even feeling neutral, courage, confidence, acceptance, that's where the shift happens. So these are bridging emotions that take us into eventually the feelings of love, acceptance, peace, enlightenment, and the higher vibrational emotions. And if you look at the state on the graph on the right side, you notice that all these fear-based emotions are contracting us. And all the love-based emotions are slowly going to start to expand us, right? And if I can go back to that quote, that Anita Moorjani's quote that I started with, This is exactly what she talks about, that, you know, love, acceptance, expansion, owning your own individuality is what actually healed us. So when she came back from the near-death experience, these are the things that she talked about. And this is what Dr. David talked about much, much earlier, decades earlier in his research, that all these emotions have a vibrational frequency. Our thoughts, our emotions are something that are creating our dis-ease. If we split the word disease, it is dis-ease. It is coming out of your ease, dis/ease, right? So understand what's really going on. And these emotions create a state of consciousness. And in this pyramid on the right side, you can actually see that lower emotions create a state of inertia and inactivity. It kind of creates a victim consciousness in us. And a lot of times we feel that I am a victim of my diagnosis. I have been diagnosed with this condition, so I'm a victim. That's it. My life comes to a halt. I get into a further depressive states, further stressful states, further anxious states, almost feeling that I am a victim. Now, understand that nothing in life is meant to make you feel a victim. So you have to understand that you have to rise in consciousness. And the more higher you vibrate with positive emotions, you go from victim to manifester to channel to a one consciousness. And the healing happens out of the victim consciousness. The healing starts to happen at the manifester consciousness, because you take charge of your life situation, because you accept and not resist. A lot of times we notice that when we are resisting our life situation, the reality of our life, that's when these things start to happen. So understand that which is the consciousness level at which I am vibrating at, which is my dominant emotion, what am I feeling, what am I thinking, because all of these is what is not just contributing to the illness, but aggravating the illness, right? So this is what we need to understand, not just for ourselves, but for our loved ones who are going through chronic health challenges, right? And it's almost like a huge proportion of population which is going through one thing or the other. And states like depression, anxiety, and stress further worsen our diagnosis. So know that there is a lot that you can do, but you need to change the vibration. You need to shift out of a victim consciousness to rise above and help yourself. Now, this is something which I really want us to all know, that this is a very cutting edge and a very recent research that has happened in an institute in California, definitely in the US. I may be mistaken if it's California, but I think it is. It is called the HeartMath Institute, right? And we have a branch of it now in UK as well. Now, HeartMath Institute has done cutting edge work to tell us that our human heart actually is one of the most powerful creator of an electromagnetic field, which is called a rhythmic field, which is created by the human heart. And it is now being recorded by very, very strong sensitive magnetometers. And what is this telling us? That means the human heart creates this field of energy that impacts the cells and organ systems of the body, and not just the body in itself, but also the field around it. So if you are in a room full of individuals, what is your electromagnetic signature is impacting not just yourself, but also people around you, substances around you, right? And that is the power of our human heart. Now, we have to understand that there will be either dissonance in this field. That means either this field is broken and not healthy, or there'll be coherence or resonance, which is a state of wholeness and completeness. The emotions that we feel and we experience is creating either dissonance or coherence. It's either creating a strong electromagnetic field in the body, for the body, around the body, or it is creating a broken electromagnetic resonance and field. And it is noted by a lot of energy, electromagnetic and energy workers, that a lot of times when we have a disease like cancer or other diseases that we are going through, whether it's mental, emotional, or physical health challenges, our electromagnetic signature or the radiation of this energy from our body gets impacted. So unless we start working at the level of this field, those organ systems do not heal, or they heal only partially, right? So it's really important for us to understand this. Please go ahead and research in the workshops that I do, in the coachings that I do. I include a lot of heart coherence work, but you can really research what is HeartMath Institute, what is heart coherence, and really understand that. I really want us to now, having understood heart coherence and the electromagnetic field, understand this very, very powerful research. And there are some of my teachers who I follow work very deeply, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden, they are the people who are actually bringing these studies to us now, right? Now, this was another scientific research study that was done where they took out the DNA. DNA is what is our genetic material, out of the body into a controlled environment in a petri dish, where they were noticing the impact of this field of the heart field on the DNA molecule. Now, I want you to understand that these DNA are in our cells. Every cell of our body has this DNA or the genetic material, and it's very tightly bound together, right? Now, this is a very, very long strand. It's called deoxyribonucleic acids. They are double helical structures. They can really go into lengths. Now, these structures are coiled together in the cell intracellular organelles of our body. What they observed was that these DNA, when subjected to very difficult emotions of hatred, tension, bitterness, anger, they coil together even more tightly, right? But when they were observed in a situation of love, elevated emotion, of appreciation, gratitude, love, they were amazed to see that this DNA strand started to relax, and it started to relax as if it was going to replicate. Now, for a DNA molecule to replicate means to reproduce, it needs to relax and it needs to uncoil. And this is the effect that positive emotions had on a DNA fragment in the laboratory, that once it started to receive these positive emotions, it started to uncoil, relax so beautifully, and then to almost as if it's going to replicate. And for our cells to regenerate, heal, and for us to feel well, we need our DNAs to be healthy, replicating and creating protein molecules. So it is the impact of these feelings at the level of genes. And because at the level of genes, that means it is impacting the proteins that his body is creating, the biochemical markers, the hormones, the neurotransmitters. I can't even go into so much depth because, we have to understand that we are releasing hormones. We have cortisol, which is the stress hormone. Then we have the love or the oxytocin hormone. We have feel-good hormones. We have neurotransmitters and hormones that are creating well-being for us. So that was the level of impact of positive emotions. So the reason I wanted to really share this study, and if you want, you can really check this out, is because the emotions that you're feeling is impacting your genetics. And we have something called the epigenetics. It's a study that is telling us we are not the victims of our genes anymore. We can influence our genetic information, and we can influence whether a particular disease, though it may be running in our family, will be experienced by us or not through the power of epigenetics. So you're not the victim of your genes anymore. So these are the things which we want to understand, that this is the way in which we can powerfully impact our health and our wellness, right? So how do we really deal with these emotions? We all feel fear. We all feel resentment. We all feel anger. Now, the power lies in understanding, because this is not something we teach our children in schools. None of us were taught by our schools how do you deal with challenges. When crisis happens, when you lose a loved one, when you fail an exam, how do you deal with that? We are just told, get on with it. Get on with it. It's okay, man up, face it, and go forward. Nobody tells us, and we end up suppressing it, or we end up getting into addictive substances to numb our feelings, to numb our fear. and to numb our pain. Nobody tells us how to deal with it. And that's the space where the mind-body medicine comes in. It tells us that feel the feeling, but don't become the feeling. You are not your feeling. You feel it, you witness it, you allow it, but understand you have to allow it to flow through you, and you have to understand a way of releasing it in a channeled way, right? Suppression doesn't does it, aggravation doesn't does it. We have to find a middle path. We have to understand, we have to feel it and release it, allow it. Emotion, energy in motion, it has to keep flowing through us. And the more we do it for ourselves, the more we allow people to do it around us, our family, our society, our colleagues, our children, our neighbors. We become more empathetic, we become more compassionate, that I am not the only person who's going through challenges. So is he, so is she. Can I be more patient with them? But we have to first learn it for ourselves, right? So I'm going to give you a very small yet very powerful way of dealing with difficult emotions, right? We want to accept. A, remember the alphabet A is the first alphabet for us. Acceptance is very powerful. We must accept and acknowledge that this is the emotion that is going through me. We must feel it fully. But once we learn the art of feeling fully, always know that every emotion has a story attached to it. It has an intense baggage attached to it. So learn to start to feel the emotion without the story or the thoughts. Just asking yourself, how does this emotion feel in my body? Where in my body do I feel this emotion? And you will be amazed that every emotion is felt in the body. It's just that we are not aware of it, right? So once you start feeling that emotion, go into the sensations in the body, not in the story of it, because the story keeps us stuck in the mind space. We need to learn the art of navigating the field that we are, this beautiful body, and feel it in the sensations in the body. And now as you are feeling this, become aware of those sensations in the body. Use your breath, expand yourself to feel the breath moving into that part of the body and breathe out of that part of the body. Having the intention that as you hold this in your awareness, as you breathe into it, you allow and you see it, you feel it, and then you say that with each out breath, I release this. I release it more and more with my out breath. You can see it visually as if the smoke coming out of a chimney, gray smoke coming out, or a blockage that the drain unblocks, it, a lot of gunk comes out. You can imagine it like that. And as you start doing that, as you vent and release your emotions, you can then slowly start to say thank you for this emotion to be releasing. And the moment you start saying thank you, you come into the space of elevated emotions. Understand that it's very important to feel elevated emotions: gratitude, acceptance, appreciation, love. And sometimes I tell my patients and my clients, fake it till you make it. So you may not feel it at the moment, but you must start doing it. So in energy medicine, faking it is wonderful. Why? Because our minds don't know the difference between real and imagined. And that's where the visualization, the power of visualization and imagination comes. We have a lot of neuroscience and a lot of neuroimaging techniques telling us now that in our brain, if I ask you to see the color red, or I ask you to imagine the color red, the same areas of visual representations in the brain light up. So the brain doesn't know whether you are imagining that color or you're actually seeing that color. So you can really fake it because the brain doesn't know. And once the brain starts to recognize that, it starts to tell the body to release those chemicals, and you start to feel well. You feel well before the actual shift starts to happen at the molecular level, right? And now we know that feeling is really important. So we have to start to feel better than we are physically experiencing, right? So that's the power of elevated emotions. Now, the key areas of my expertise from where I have been growing from this in this field has been mind-body medicine. I work very deeply with subconscious mind, and that's a huge part of the work that I want you to understand, that we all have a subconscious mind. Conscious mind is what you're using to listen to me, to analyze, critically evaluate everything that you are hearing. Subconscious mind is like that hard drive of a computer that stores everything that you go through. Your likes, your dislikes, that smell that you're smelling reminds you of your grandmom's cooking. That's your subconscious mind. Something that you had forgotten, but you all of a sudden remember, that's your subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is recording everything all the time, all our emotions. So when we repress things, suppress things, this is the space that gets activated and influences us. So through hypnosis, through visualizations, through neurolinguistic programming, you can really start to shift. And that's one of my key strengths. I'm a medical hypnotherapist, and that's what I've been doing for cancer patients in the NHS hospital over the last 5 years, and have really helped patients to move beyond their diagnosis. Conscious mind, we have that conscious mind. Mindfulness is the key way of how we can approach it. Emotional freedom technique, understand that you have an energy field. You may have heard of acupressure, acupuncture, massage therapists. All of them are trying to work on your energy field to release emotions, right? But how I do it is through emotional freedom technique. That's one of my specialties. But you can look up acupressure, acupuncture, massage therapy. Everything helps you to release. In emotional freedom technique, we actually do tapping on those points to release it. It comes from the Chinese medicine, right? Those energy meridians and chakra work. The way we know we have energy meridians. In fact, we are right now conducting a chakra workshop with mindful living as I speak. We have session 2 tomorrow. So understand that these are the spaces in which I want you to start looking beyond for your healing. Medicine is great, surgery is great, everything is good. But this is a very key missing piece of the puzzle that you need to integrate, investigate, research on your own, and seek out therapists, coaches, experts in your area, in your place, wherever you live, wherever you are. Reach out, go to them, ask for help. Reflexologists, counselors, coaches. You know, there is a whole field of people, energy workers, you know, they are the ones who are working at this depth, at this level. So please know there is a whole world out there waiting to support you, but you need to open your mind and go beyond yourself and see that you're not just this body or the mind, right? Positive outcomes that I have experienced in the work that I have done is, this was something that I could think of, but there are many more, like reduction in the severity of symptoms, reduction in pain medication, aversions to food. I had a patient, I still remember, who had become averse to water. She was going through radiotherapy. She could not drink water. She was only taking liquids in the form of flavored fluids. And after just the second session, she took the first sip of water after 18 to 20 months in the clinic. So you understand that people develop deep aversions to food, to water, to medicines. They have such fatigue when they have chronic health challenges that they can't even lift and brush their teeth, right? So a lot of these things we start to see a relief in. Reduction in anxiety, stress, and depression, which further aggravates your health condition, right? So these are what are called comorbidities. They are comorbidities, and they create the situation and they worsen your health challenge. Overcoming phobias and fears. Reduction in antihistaminic or allergy medicines, and enhanced. So in menopause, a lot of women who go through menopause experience brain fog, hot flushes, inability to work and function. Through these techniques, through all the mind-body medicine techniques, we can really, really influence them. And the beauty of this is that you learn how to do it on your own. So like, you know, you learn these techniques. You're not dependent on a coach or an expert. You come to them, you take a few sessions, and you go back. And once you've learned it, you do this in your own time, right? So that's the power of this work. Just to tell you about my work, one of my research pilots got published in a European Journal of Surgical Oncology. I presented my work of in cancer and complementary therapies of mind-body medicine at a British Association of Surgical Oncology here. And there is another, hopefully, a research in progress, which should be published because it's almost done. I'm just telling you about this so that, you know, not for any other purpose, but you understand that a lot can be helped. You can be helped and you can gain a lot. Now, this was one of the key patients that we presented in the surgical oncology conference. And she had a very severe needle phobia to the point that she needed the bone marrow biopsy for her treatment to continue. And she had said no. And if you can see this graph, these three things, this is pain, anxiety, and fear. And they are on a level of 0 to 10, very high, to the point that she was coming to stop her treatment. And through these techniques and these tools of mind-body medicine, just notice how much she has come down in the graph in the second biopsy, in the third biopsy, and this is a 2-month follow-up for her. How much we have reduced, she had reduced her fear, anxiety, and pain to enable her to go through this treatment. So my intention, friends, is to know that please encourage this conversation in your families, in your lives, that you can express emotions, you can talk about emotions, and it's an important conversation to be had. And understand that you are not helpless. You don't have to outsource your health to anybody. Don't stop any medication, don't stop any treatment, but include a lot of these spaces for your well-being and for your health. And with that, I would hand it over back to Ashish, but having shared again this quote from my teacher, that know that one of the biggest healers is love, gratitude, appreciation, and a lot of positive emotions. Nothing heals like that. So thank you so much. And Ashish, back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Nupur, for such an awesome session. And friends, if what Dr. Nupur has shared with you, please show her some love, thumbs up, type in the chat, or unmute and share. What do you feel? You know, this was such an awesome session. What were your takeaways? Please share that while I'm putting up my presentation. And that is exactly what is there in the presentation also. What do you feel like expressing? And let's see what are your comments. Thank you, Dr. Nupur. Learned a lot from you. Please raise your hand so that we can support you. And unmute yourself only if you, yes, Anjana.
I think it is, I mean, I've been through a lot of, sessions with you all, but every time I come back and though it could be similar, I go back with a new takeaway. But what I've learned and experienced and hopefully trying to implement is that it really works and helps to understand it, neutralize, and let it go. I mean, it brings, I haven't reached the last bit. So, but even understanding that you have this challenge and accepting it makes a huge difference. And thank you, Nupur, for that.
Thank you, Anjana. Thank you for sharing that, this really impacts us, because I'm just requesting everybody to mute themselves so that, when we are speaking, we can unmute. It's like the journey of the 1,000 steps has to begin with that one step. So understand that whatever you're doing for your well-being is going to help and pay dividends in the long run. But you have to be open and understand that you can impact your health. It's not just the broccoli which will do it, or it's not just that run in the park that will do it. What is transpiring in your mind, in your heart, is equally responsible. So do everything, but take charge of your emotions and your thinking also. That's my only key message here.
Dr. Nupur, we have someone asking, can you please share the name of the books that you mentioned about? So we would like to do.
So I could have at least 10, but some of my key favorites are Dying to Be Me by Anita Moorjani, You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay, Being Superhuman by Dr. Joe Dispenza, Divine Matrix by Greg Braden, and Proof of Heaven by Eben Alexander. He was a neuroscientist who died and had an NDE, and he talks about healing as well. And yes, there are many more books, but these are some of the very, very powerful ones I recommend.
Thank you. Friends, some of you are inquiring about the details of the Chakra workshop. So I'll ask Ashmita to share her number in the chat and you may connect with her and she will share the details of the Chakra workshop with you. And I'd like to take the question from Subhya. Please go on.
Dr. Nupur, it was a wonderful, wonderful session and a really enlightening one. And I would like to share as well that even I had frozen shoulders and both my shoulders were gone. And I had a severe pain for over 9 months, where I actually could see that no medication and no physical therapy was helping me out. But somehow when I started releasing my, I would say the emotions that were holding me and troubling me, my frozen shoulders have absolutely cured now. So
Amazing.
I would love to hear a lot of learning from you and would love to get associated with you as and when possible, because whatever you have taught today has been a bulb-on movement for me in my life, and so well taught, so well expressed, and clearly understood by us as well.
Thank you so much. And
Right.
it brings me joy because what you have shared more than me, because I am on this side of the fence, and also sometimes I cross over. I'll tell you my experience with my health challenges, but you speaking on a forum like this validates that. Please have faith, have trust. It works. Sometimes it takes patience, but there is a lot of support out there for you. Because just yesterday I heard that somebody's son had committed suicide, and my heart broke because this was a child who could have been helped, and he was going through a lot of difficult emotions because he was gay, he was not being accepted in the society. So my intention is to understand that please be loving, be kind, emotionally be vigilant. You help yourselves and you help people around you, and we can stop these things. And what Suvia has mentioned is huge. Managing to cure her frozen shoulders, my God, well done to you, Suvia. So thank you for
so
sharing.
much. I have one new question to ask is when when we see people who are very emotional and they get emotional very fast. And I have been trying to, like, for example, I'm talking about my mother. She's a very, very sensitive person. And I had to believe that unnecessary crying would actually decrease your energy. You would come into the negative zone. So I always shift her mindset to a positive aspect by diverting her attention to something good feelings and good memories that she had, so that she shifts away. But then I have a confusion that when we say we should allow the person to express himself, so does that mean that we should let the person outburst once and then cool, or should we just shift the focus? What should we do in this?
That's a very, very, very powerful question. So it is very based on the personality type of the individual. Sometimes a person who never likes to express, if they are having an emotional outburst, that's a very powerful one. We should allow that to happen. But if the person has a very victimized mentality, the level of consciousness, if they're on the lowest rung of victimization, and they feel that everything they are a victim of, if the world is out there to get to them, that time we need to shift their focus into a more empowered version, so that they know that crying and moping about is not the only solution. We have to start empowering and do something about it. So what you're doing is absolutely right. So,
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Subhya. Friends, we have shared Ashmita's number in the chat. In case you would like to connect with her for details of the Chakra workshop, please feel free to. Also, we are sharing the link to a Mindful Living community. Please be a part of the community. That's where the regular updates about our sessions are shared. So please join, click on the link and join the community. And I'll now request Rakeshji to please share his question.
So, Ashishji, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. And I was really mesmerized with the session which has been given by Nupur. Dr. Nupur, thank you very much for bringing such immense knowledge about this subject.
thank you.
I also keep reading this subject quite often, and I found that it was extremely useful. A couple of participants have also mentioned, and also that is my expectation, that if you can talk more about how can we take control of our emotions. Emotions do affect, lots of people understand probably, and lots of knowledge which you are spreading, people will start understanding more. But how do we take control of our emotions? How do we get out of the stress? And how can we start healing ourselves? If you can probably design some session around that, maybe not one, maybe 3 4 sessions, if you can actually create around that, that will be a really great help. And
Absolutely,
if
sir.
you can repeat your session on hypnosis, I'll be really obliged. We would like to learn a little more about hypnosis and self hypnosis.
Okay. So I would absolutely do that. Emotional intelligence is a topic that Ashish and I have been thinking of doing some work on. Understanding it at the conscious level, subconscious level, and at the energy level, and also pain management. So definitely taken your question and your request on board. And also about a quick tip that I can say to anybody is that when you are having a pain, a tumor, or a problem in that organ, know that you can communicate with the intelligence of that of your body. Your body, your cells listen to you. It's almost like when you are sleeping in the night and you tell yourself, I will wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning. Don't try and put the alarm clock. Next day, you'll be amazed you will wake up at 6 a.m. Because there is a field of consciousness. There is an energy, there's an intelligence in our cells that's always listening to us. So I would start speaking to your body, start speaking to your problems. And every time, suppose you have a pain in your knee, you deal with that pain, but you go and speak to that pain and ask yourself, what is the emotion that could be stored in this pain? What is that trauma? What is that fear? What is that memory? And you just say that, you talk to your pain and you forget about it. And you will be amazed that you will get insights about that memory will pop up either in your dreams or in your waking state, or somebody's face will come or the emotion will come up. And you will exactly know that this is what is creating here. So though the physical body is in tension, the muscles are paining, the blood vessels are inflamed, but there is also a component of the emotions. So one tip I can give you here, sir, is that whenever you can, start speaking to your body, start speaking to your areas of discomfort, and positively impacting them, yet releasing the stuck emotions. And till we meet for a workshop, I hope some of this can go and go over that exercise of working with emotions, awareness, breath, and release. That also is very powerful. Simple things, but they're profound.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Rakesh ji, for your question. Friends, we really value your feedback. So we are sharing a feedback form in the chat. This will take you 30 seconds, not more than 30 seconds. Please, we'll pause till you fill out the feedback form. And once you have filled out the feedback form, please type FD in the chat box so that we know that you filled out the feedback form. And while you're filling out, I'd like to share with you that we have exciting sessions lined up for the month of July for you. This is also the month when Guru Purnima falls, and this year it is on 13th of July. So all of our sessions in July are dedicated to Guru, and shortly we will talk about what we are doing to celebrate that. And the session, particularly for the coming week, is on Yoga Sutras. And that's an amazing, most of the times when we think of yoga, we think in terms of asanas, but we don't know that there are, in the Yoga Sutras, there are only 3 sutras which are dedicated to asana. 193 sutras are about living life and about mind. So that is what we are going to have a very interesting speaker talk, share a contemporary perspective on Yoga Sutras. So please join us, join our community to stay updated of the upcoming session, and join the session once we announce it shortly. And I'll now request Shalini to go ahead with a question. Shalini, are you there?
Hello. Yeah. Thank you so much, Nupur ma'am. I attended your last session also on hypnosis, and I practiced it really well. I was going through really terrible time that point in time. My entire family was COVID positive. So your session was literally a saver for us. So thank you so much. I'm overwhelmed with what you have been doing. And today
Thank you.
also, second time, my father is a ILD patient, and he again got COVID last night. Again, I got a chance to attend your sessions and learn something new. It has been God's blessing. I'm really thankful to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And my question is regarding, ma'am, whenever I feel like this, I feel like crying. I don't know, but it's so overwhelming that many times it's like pain in my left rib that I experience when I am overpowering with my such emotions. And its pain is like that the rib cage is so hurt. I tried applying anything or doing exercising, but this pain is left, which doesn't go away. So I don't know what is causing it. I keep on asking myself, what is this problem or what is the issue that I am having, but I don't get any answer to it. I try tapping techniques also, like the one you say, doing it, Ho'oponopono, or breath work also, but somehow I'm not able to find why again and again after few months this problem come to me. I don't know, this is not the right forum, but I thought maybe some quick tip or some reference to material if you can give me, I can explore and do that.
Okay, so have you had a medical diagnosis of it yet? Have you shown it to any clinician?
Nothing, but they said it's like rheumatic arthritis could be one of the reason, and after that there is nothing. So painkiller, Nucoxy MR, and that's the only thing that they give. Nothing more than that.
Right, right. So Shalini, for you, what I would recommend is, Ashish will be talking about this, but just so if you want, you can consult.
Okay.
It'll be a free consultation with me for the first session, and I will
Okay.
give you some protocols to follow. And
Okay.
and then you know, you start doing them, because sometimes when things are a little more deep and chronic, we need to follow certain protocols and start doing these practices and understand how we can influence it. So, you know, don't stop the medications, but start doing the work. And parallelly, when you start getting relief, you can start reducing it in consent with your physician, right?
Okay.
But always know something, Shalini, that pain is a message from the body. The pain is there for a reason. Pain is not something that is the problem. Pain is, as we say, don't shoot the messenger. The pain is only telling us, communicating with us that there is some underlying issue, right? So what is that underlying issue is what somebody like me goes into. And then we start doing techniques to reduce the intensity by changing the root cause. The root cause is what we need to reach. We don't fix the pain only, because pain is like a crying child crying for attention. Once the child is given love and understanding and we know what's the cause, then it automatically subsides, right? So you can avail, you can contact me, and I'll do my best to guide you. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for today's session.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you,
Wish you all the
Shalini.
best.
Friends, we are at, this is 6 p.m. now, and I understand that we need to draw the session to a close, but don't worry, we are not going to let you go without answering your questions. So Manojji, please bear with me for a couple of minutes, and then we will take your question. Friends, as I was mentioning, on the occasion of Guru Purnima, we are paying a homage to our teachers. We have all benefited from our teachers. Normally, when Dr. Nupur does her coaching sessions and consultations, her charges are 100 pounds for an hour. But don't worry, that's not what we are going to charge. There is a special offer for everyone who is a member of the Mindful Living community. So in case you have not yet joined the community, please click on the link now and join the community so that you can avail of this special offer, which is a free consultation of 30 minutes with Dr. Nupur. In case you would like to avail of this special offer, please send a WhatsApp to the number mentioned in the screen, 071448227. This is a limited period offer, valid only for next 24 hours. So please send a message on this number, SO, and then we will get in touch with you to schedule a complimentary 30-minute consultation with Dr. Nupur. But this is only for members of Mindful Living community. So please, click on the link and join our community. And on that note, we will pause here, and I'll request Mr. Manoj to go on and share his question. And friends, I'll just before that, I understand this is 6 p.m. And the session is now over. So in case anybody would like to leave, please, you may choose to. Please, you're most welcome to stay, but happy in case you have other commitments. I understand it's a weekend. So in case you'd like to leave, thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate your joining us and your questions and your comments. We love you. Join us next Saturday for an awesome session on Yoga Sutras, a contemporary take on Yoga Sutras. Thank you very much. And over to you, Manojji.
Happy morning. Hello.
Hello, sir. Good
Yeah.
morning. Happy morning to you.
From your learning, it looks like one day I'll become a doctor. In lighter note, I'm saying. Thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure, sir. Actually, we all are, we all have that healing ability, and our ancestors used to access that wisdom in ourselves. We have that ability to heal, sir. So we just need to remind ourselves.
Okay.
We have forgotten that ability, but yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manojji. Bandnaji, please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Nupur.
Thank you,
just
ma'am.
wanted, mine is not so much a question as a validation of everything you said. I started with the first symptoms of lupus when I was 25 due to a lot of stress, finally diagnosed at 38 with full-blown lupus, renal involvement, pleural involvement, seizures. I'm a doctor also. So seizures, skin involvement, rash, joints, the works. Everything was involved except the heart. And I carried on with steroids and everything. And at that point, I realized that I have to do something to heal myself. I did whatever. I was keen on music, so I did a lot of singing. I did a lot of traveling, mostly solo on my own. At 60, I started hiking. I'm 72 now. So, going up to Valley of Flowers, to Spiti, to Leh, to all those places. But about 5 years ago now, I'm told I have stage 4 cirrhosis, esophageal varices, portal hypertension, splenomegaly, the works. Now with visualization, every night I visualize a nice healthy pink liver, and it has regressed to some extent. The portal hypertension is less. The spleen is 4 centimeters shorter.
Amazing.
Other things are there. So where do I go from here? Am I on the right lines? I mean, I had nobody to tell me this, but basically I kind of worked it out.
You are an inspiration, ma'am, and thank you for sharing your testimonial with us. It is outstanding, and 4 centimeter is huge.
It's huge.
It's
It was
huge.
17, so it's gone down to 13 now.
That's huge. And I mean, please continue to do what you're doing. I mean, the time was short, so I could not share all my patients' testimonials and everything that I could. But more than me sharing it, it's you sharing it that's powerful. And it's about including visualization and also certain more modalities. Maybe you can, really start to suggest the body what you wish for it to have.
I do that all the time. I talk to it. I tell the cells you've got to heal.
It's like amazing how much. Like I had a patient who had complete dry mouth post radiation, and the dietitian referred because they couldn't help this patient, and just by the power of hypnosis, suggestions, visualization, and seeing what the person loves to eat and remembering those, the salivation was
Starts.
optimal. And that's the note I got from the dietitian after just 3 sessions. Optimal salivation. Patient is being removed from salagogues or the artificial saliva. So this is the power, ma'am. So please just keep doing, and I would love to also connect with you and just give you more tips to enhance. Whatever
Okay.
you're doing, you're fabulous. So and once again, thank you for sharing what you did. It will help so
Just
many
one
people.
more thing. You mentioned reflexology. So both my shoulders were frozen till a friend came along and said, frozen shoulders. He pressed something on my feet and they were gone.
Amazing. So reflexology is something I don't practice, but I know it's a very powerful
I had
technique.
no belief in it,
Yes.
but he
Yes.
did it and it's gone.
See?
I never had it after that.
Exactly. I mean, I'm like just so grateful to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing, because our audience will know that this is real stuff.
That's why I
Right?
shared, because
Thank you
it's
so much.
very
Thank
real.
you. Absolutely. Like I have worked so much with neuropathy patients, through my expertise, but also we work in tandem in the hospitals in the West. We have a reflexologist, we have somebody who is an acupuncturist, but yes, we need to avail their offers. We need to go to healers. We need to go to these wonderful practitioners of alternate medicine. So thank you so much.
So there's just one more thing I want to say here for the audience more than anybody else, is that if there is a situation which is causing you a problem, get out of it. That also helped me. I
Yes.
got out of a bad situation and it's helped. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Panna. Really appreciate your sharing. Dayal, may I request you to share?
Yes. Thank you for being a part of this wonderful group. How one thing leads to the another, from Mr. Lalit Kapoor to Mr.
Yes.
Sandeep Niban and Ashish Kumar, and then to Dr. Nupur. Tremendous, very high level of journey. Now, I just like to, the problem is sometimes purely sick in mind, nothing physical. Physical, absolutely hail and hardy. Like the techniques you mentioned, I started with yoga, meditation, hypnosis, then EFT, that tapping techniques and hypnosis and whatnot. But somehow I'm not getting that breakthrough, that leap, which it becomes sort of a neurosis. It has become like, and it's been for the years. I'll be openly with you, this. It's just become stubborn, irrespective of the flooding method, systematic desensitization, coming with phobias. It literally went to the, I will say, clinical depression. But somehow these things kept me away from it. So no medication as of now. But what I want to know, how do I get over this one quantum leap, which will be getting out of it? See, kahin na kahin andar mera wo ja nahi raha hai wo. This is one thing. And secondly, my wife, I'll also share with you, my wife's restless leg syndrome. Moment she sleeps, it starts all over again, restlessness, pain in the leg. Moment sun rises, she's back to normal, nothing happens. The whole night she's grumbling. Morning there's nothing. So all whatever physical to be done, ultimately the little bit D3 lack of D3 deficiency.
Yeah.
So
thank you for your question. I would say 2 things to you, sir. The ultimate quantum leap is that we are not this body, we are not this mind, we are a field of energy. And the moment we understand that we are that space of awareness, we stop giving the power to the stories in our mind. That is the ultimate quantum leap, if I can give. But not everybody hears it when we say it, or when gurus say it, or when Ramana Maharishi used to tell us that you are not this body, you're not this mind. And that is what Advaita tells us. So stop believing the stories and stop believing the problems. And the less power we give to the problem, the less the problem exists. To the point that even if it's there, it doesn't bother you, it doesn't bring you down. So don't practice resistance, practice acceptance. Accept and go beyond, and that is the ultimate quantum leap. Having said that, I would say that you have been working fabulously well on yourself. Perhaps what is lacking is a level of recognition that things have changed. Because what happens is when we all put things together, it feels like an unsurmountable mountain. So start breaking things down in small bits and pieces, right? It's like having a whole pizza or a whole roti in front of you, you can't gobble it down. You have to break it down into small bite-sized pieces. So approach your challenge with that bite-sized piece. Approach it with a level of acceptance, acknowledgement, and realization where you have made even 1% of a shift. Appreciate, acknowledge. If the body doesn't get appreciation and acknowledgement, it doesn't heal. Same with the mind problems, right? So that is one thing. And thirdly, I would say seek a specialist help. Sometimes we can do only that much. And beyond that, we need a help of a person. I have invested more in my mind-body medicine than actually probably had invested in my medicine and my medical specialization. So know that the money that we have is an energy, and energy needs to be exchanged for bettering our quality of life. And this is for all of us. That sometimes we think that I don't want to spend money for this. You know, I can spend money for my holidays. I'm not saying this to you specifically, but that is our mentality. We don't mind spending money for other things, but not for our well-being. So start asking yourself, who can I see? Which specialist can I see? Which coach can I see? Which healer can I see? Go to them. Trust, work, and the ultimate quantum leap, sir, is that you are none of these. So you can just forget all about this. And I hope I have answered your questions. And with your wife, I would say that restless leg syndrome, yes, can be helped, but you will need a specialist. Yeah.
Okay, I can go through that link and find out this thing and the solutions, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ashish Kumar ji. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Nupur, I understand we are 15 minutes beyond the time. I just want to check with you your availability because we have 4 more people who are wanting to interact.
Okay, so maybe till I was going to say 2 p.m., but that's my time. It will be
6:30, another 15 minutes.
Maybe
so
another.
Friends, we will like you to keep your questions crisp and short, and so that everybody gets a chance. We will finish the session with Purnima. We will take the last question from Purnima and then we'll draw the session to a close. Sanjay, please go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yeah. Good evening, Ashish ji, and
Yes.
good afternoon, Dr. Nupur. I'm Sanjay, back after a long, travel and all that.
All right.
I'm missing your Chakra and all that sessions. So hopefully when you repeat it, I will join that. Just have, my video, I have a little issue with the video.
Okay, sure.
I'm not putting it on today. Just 2 small questions, I think you will be able to. This is that experiment where the DNA uncoiled in the presence of love and appreciation. So that was a directed love and appreciation towards the DNA, or it was kept in an indirect atmosphere through the indirectly in an atmosphere of love and that thing uncoiled. And secondly, clinically, how will you differentiate between feeling and emotion? That's all, if you can.
Right. So in this experiment, it was in the same room. So it was in a glass vessel in the room, and the people who were around it were also people who were deep meditators and people who were able to access this love, joy, and compassion, and who were trained like monks, Buddhist monks, or a lot of people who practice this metta meditation. So they were the people. So it was being directed in the vicinity of the sample of DNA, so physical proximity. Second question was about, I forget, what was that, Sanjay?
So it's basically indirectly the DNA uncoiled, just being in the presence of the good.
Direct uncoiling happened while they were doing that, they noticed that.
It was not directed towards the DNA.
It was in that same environment. So it was meant, there was an intention to do. So influence the DNA. They didn't know how they will respond, and that's how it actually the molecules started.
Okay, thank you. And what is the clinical difference between feeling and emotion?
Okay, so feelings are a little more fleeting. So feelings is something that comes and goes, very fleeting. Emotion is something which is more like a state, like an emotional state. So that's what it has, a little more gravitas to it. It is like a state of sadness, or it is a state of worry. It is an emotion of guilt, So when you are guilty, the expression of it is like, I'm feeling restless, or I'm feeling like I want to avoid eye contact and stuff like that. Those are more like fleeting expressions and are like feelings, but emotion is a deeper and a more broader state that a person experiences.
So basically, if a scaled up feeling for a prolonged period becomes emotion.
Yes, and these are very, very, they merge into these things. So they're not very clinically differentiables. They have boundaries that overlap. But yes, more or less, you're right.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you for your question. Babu, you may please go next.
Is it me you're asking? Oh.
Yes.
Babu, it's Babu. She'll have to unmute herself. Purnima will come to you after that. Thank you for the patience. I still can't hear you. Try pressing the unmute button.
Yeah. Now I'm done. Yes, I couldn't do it on my own. Namaste and thank you very much. Actually, I just got so inspired listening to everyone, and I decided that I need to just give in a little bit. I myself am a cancer survivor, and I was diagnosed with this about 17 years. And the work of Louise, affirmations, and I'm a Vipassana meditator practicing for the past 35 years. So all that you've said has actually worked for me in my life. And also after that, I was diagnosed with lupus at the age of 65, which was fairly strange. And now they say that I do not have lupus. So all of this, so just wanted to share the power of all the work that you have shared with us. And yes, I have taken care of what I eat, definitely of what I think, visualization, breathing, being mindful, all of it has worked. And with trust and faith, I sit here today and listen to you. And thank you so much for sharing and explaining it so scientifically. I really love you. And I love the space that has been provided for the people likes of us. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing that. That brings almost tears in my eyes because it's so powerful. And, you yourself, I'm sure, are an inspiration to all of us, that, sometimes we just need to trust and walk the talk. So thank you for showing us that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm also a trainer with Heal Your Life. I'm training people now inside of all that has happened in my life. Maybe that's the challenge that led me to this space now. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you for empowering everybody. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you.
Yes, Purnima, please go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So mine is not a question and more of a comment that I did attend. I'm not a pioneer and I'm still learning. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
So there is this workshop that I attended, and which is the subject was law of attraction, and it did mention that do not own a disease. Do not keep saying that I have rheumatoid arthritis or blood pressure, so on and so forth, because by saying that you're endorsing, you tend to own the disease. Is that true?
Right. So Purnima, thank you for that powerful question. When we get diagnosed with something, it's something that we have on the paper and we have heard our doctors, and a lot of times what the doctor says becomes the gospel's truth for us, right? And we believe it to the point that sometimes if they tell us you have only 3 months to live, we expect us to die in 3 months, and that happens a lot. Now, the thing that they say in law of attraction, or for that matter in mind-body medicine also, is that you are not your diagnosis. You are not your disease. You have a diagnosis, but you are not that. So don't own it. So instead of saying my knee pain, my rheumatoid arthritis, you start saying that I have a diagnosis which says there is rheumatoid arthritis. I have a diagnosis that says there is knee pain. So instead of making it my story, you make it a diagnosis on the paper. You see it, you follow it as per it's needed for the clinical interventions. But beyond that, you don't need to keep reiterating. What we have a habit in our society is we take up the phone and we tell all our family and friends that, oh, this is the story of my life. This is what I have. This is what's going on. So don't keep reinforcing that narrative in our mind that I am a patient of so-and-so, because you become identified with that. So we don't own it, we don't identify it, we don't make it the story of our lives. This is just one thing that I'm going through, and that's it. So you're absolutely right. We don't own it, and we don't have to keep repeating it, because somewhere it keeps reinforcing it. You can just talk about it with your doctor or with your therapist, but other than that, you don't have to keep believing and keep reiterating that, because it keeps telling your mind and keeps making you feel as if you are that. You're absolutely right. Yes. That's one of the key things we do in mind body medicine. Wonderful. So thank you. I think we have answered and come to the end, Ashish. It was a beautiful time with Mindful Living. So thank you so much, as always.
Thank you, Dr. Nupur. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this awesome session. This is weekend now. Please unmute yourself, make some noise, and as we come to the end of this session, look forward to seeing you next Saturday on a session on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Nupur,
you.
for the wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lots of love, everybody. Take care of yourselves.
Yeah,
Tremendous. Yeah, thanks a lot. God bless.